Welcome to the Wealth Transfer with TC. Today, I want to share some exciting news relating to Zion Oil and Gas. Now, this isn't the big announcement that we're waiting for as far as a viable well, but I want to discuss some things about what they have shared in this most recent news update. Now, folks, I'm not a financial advisor, nor am I oil and gas expert. Everything that I share with you was all self-taught or learned. And I'm going to discuss some things relating to, in this video, the short-term and some of the long-term things that people need to think about when investing in Zion Oil and Gas. Now, currently, Zion Oil and Gas is sitting at 14 cents. It actually closed out Friday at 11 cents and opened up at 14 cents today, and that's currently where it's at. And a lot of people are kind of wondering, how come the price is not jumping up dramatically. A lot of people thought that maybe just based off of the current announcement that this price should be a lot higher. But the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is go over the Zion Oil announcement. Press release: Zion Oil and Gas announces gas to surface onshore in Israel during initial flowback. Targeted perforation zone and stimulation operations are successful. All right, so the first thing is, it wasn't oil, it was gas. Right, so many people are looking, for this announcement about oil when currently, right now, it's gas. So this announcement was put out before the opening bell. Zion Oil and Gas announces that the initial flowback operations from its Megiddo Jezreel number 1 MGL1 well re-entry have resulted in gas reaching the surface onshore in Israel. Perforation and stimulation operations were successfully completed with gas observed at surface during early flowback. The well is currently in stimulation fluid recovery and cleaning phase. Zion is sourcing additional equipment for that to continue flowback testing and conduct volumetric analysis to evaluate reservoir characteristics. These efforts are part of Zion's ongoing plan to assess the well's production potential. And this is going to take some time, but they are going to basically assess, when they're done with everything, assess the well's production potential, right? If it's a viable well. So I've been learning a lot more about gas and what is needed for a viable well. We've always focused on oil, and I think for probably a lot of people, this is kind of a shock as far as, hey, I thought everything was going to be, about oil. But right now, it's about natural gas. So just giving you the breakdown of that phase, it says that this is the stimulation fluid recovery. This refers to the flowback where the fluids, typically water, sand, and chemical additives that were injected into the well during stimulation, are now being brought back to the surface. The goal is to remove these non-hydrocarbon fluids so that natural gas and oil can flow unimpeded. Cleaning phase. This involves removing debris, residual frac fluid, and other impurities. This may include flushing out sand, propellant fines, and gel residues. Why this phase matters? A clean well ensures the accurate flow rate readings. It helps determine how effective the stimulation treatment was. It's necessary before measuring true production performance and gas to water ratios. This phase typically lasts a few days to a couple of weeks, depending on the volume of injected fluid, the formation characteristics, and the pressure behavior. In short, the well is not producing marketable gas, but it is being prepared to do so by clearing out everything injected during stimulation. So that is what they're doing right now with the stimulation fluid recovery and cleaning phase. According to AI, it says it could take up to a couple of weeks. So Zion is sourcing additional equipment for that. Now, there's one thing that I do want to bring up, because they didn't have the equipment on site, and so I do want to bring up what somebody had posted on StockTwits. This is Junior Cash. Okay, he says here, I text Zion saying that this was great news and praise God, and why they didn't have the other equipment that is needed now. And they replied immediately saying, there's no way to justify every contingency that we would need. It would be irresponsible to have all options on site. Not having immediate access to all types of tools is what makes exploring in Israel so difficult and expensive. All right, so they don't have the equipment on site, so they're going to have to order that, whatever equipment that they need. So who knows how long that is going to take. Now, Zion Oil does have a shareholder meeting coming up on June the 4th And there's going to be some things that people are going to need to vote on. So what is up for vote is to increase the number of shares by basically 400 million. All right, so that is a lot of shares. Currently, right now, from what I understand, Zion Oil has about 170 million shares, and currently that's only $23.8 million, right? So they really need the price of Zion Oil to really go up. And maybe I thought with this announcement that we just saw that we would see it go up, but it's kind of only moved a few cents. But just to kind of take a look at the long term of this thing, people need to understand, like, when you go back and you look at the cost every single month to run Zion Oil, especially when they're drilling, according to their 10K back in 2023, it says here, we estimate that when we are not actively drilling a well, our monthly expenditure is about $600,000 per month. When they are drilling, testing, it's between 2 and 3 million per month, right? And so when you times that by 12, that equals what, up to 36 million. So even all the shares that they currently have right now would not probably help them get through the end of the year, because it's not just about this well, because even if they do have a viable well, there's a lot of things that the cost that they're going to have to cover. Additional 400 million shares, if they were to sell them all without driving down the price, that would equal up to about $56 million, right, at its current price. So, what's going to happen if they do have a viable well, right? They could get additional investments from the government or other companies, right? So you have outside investors coming in, but people have to understand that this is just one well, right? And it's going to cost $3 million per month to drill the next well. And you see how long it took to drill each one of these wells. If you guys have been following Zion Oil for some time, I mean, it'll take a couple years to get from the beginning to the end to find out whether or not we have a viable well. Now, I think the next time that they would drill, that it would probably come much faster, because they have a lot more experience and they have other new supposed techniques to stimulate these wells. If they decide to go back into MJO2, it's going to cost $3 million per month. So they need this one to be a viable well, MJO1, and they're going to need MJO2 to be a viable well. That's really their only option right now after this, is to go back into MJO2 once this is completed. But what they really need for MJO1, they need this really to be a super well, an above average amount for a viable well for natural gas. So one of the things that I want to reiterate is that the Zion Oil and Gas is in the OTC markets. If you do decide to buy this, remember, some platforms only allow you to place limit orders like Fidelity because it's below $1. But I just want you to be aware of how you might have to place your trades. I don't know where the price of this is going. Just based off of the information that we have, it didn't really jump, I think, what a lot of people had speculated. But there's some things that I think that could happen, because you're probably going to see the Manuel Johnsons and the Bo Ponies on there saying, hey, look, see, they have gas. You need to invest right now. You need to get in right now. They're probably going to push the price up like they did before. And, Zion Oil does need money, so they are going to be selling when they see these price increases, but they also need buyers too. So within the next, 29 days is the shareholder meeting. So we'll see what happens then. There were some other concerns about the drill team and if they have to go back in May to their home country for a period of time. And I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, and I didn't set this up before I made the video, but how many days they can actually work on the drill and so on. So I don't know if that's coming up too as well. So I just want people to be careful that if there's any delays, that's going to affect the price. And maybe Zion will get that issue resolved as far as the visas for their drilling team. So anyways, folks, that is all that I have for this today. I thank you guys for listening. God bless.